If you've been scrolling through endless rows of beverage chillers, comparing sizes, price tags, and a handful of vague specs, and you still can't decide which one actually makes sense for your space, this review is going to clear that up. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last couple of weeks looking at what the market offers, reading the few buyer comments that exist, and even pulling apart a couple of comparable units, just to get a feel for how they perform in a real kitchen or bar setting. The goal here is to help you avoid spending money on a cooler that sounds great on paper, but ends up being a mismatch for the way you actually use it. First off, let's talk about the kind of situation where a backbar cooler like the COTLIN 36-inch model becomes more than just a fridge. Imagine you're running a small home bar, a coffee shop that serves craft sodas, or even a condo kitchen where your fridge is already crammed and you need a dedicated spot for drinks. In those setups, the cooler becomes a workhorse. You open it dozens of times a day, you need the temperature to stay consistent, and you want everything you store, whether it's beer cans, wine bottles, or soda bottles, to be visible at a glance. The COTLIN unit is built around that premise. It sits neatly under a counter, presents its contents through a low glass panel, and offers adjustable shelves so you can swap out a row of wine bottles for a stack of 6-packs without much hassle. Who should buy this thing? If you're a serious home entertainer who keeps a rotation of craft beers, a few bottles of red, and a few cases of mixers on hand, the 36-inch footprint gives you enough room without taking over the entire wall. The adjustable shelving means you can customize the interior for the exact bottle sizes you own, no more awkward gaps, or having to force a tall bottle into a too-short bin. It's also a solid fit for small to medium commercial settings where you need a dedicated, temperature-controlled display that looks professional without breaking the bank. The ETL and NSF approvals give that extra peace of mind for food service environments, meaning you won't run into regulatory headaches when you're serving drinks to customers. On the flip side, if you only keep a handful of drinks at home and you already have a main refrigerator that can handle a few extra bottles, this unit is probably overkill. Its 36-inch width takes up significant cabinet real estate, so you'll need to be sure you have a dedicated space that can handle the dimensions and the required ventilation clearance. Also, if you're looking for a unit that can double as a freezer, or that can keep a very low temperature for long-term storage of specialty beers, you'll be disappointed. This cooler is optimized for the typical 35-40F range, not deep freeze. In those cases, a smaller countertop cooler or a simple wine fridge might serve you better. Now, let's break down the practical strengths. The first thing that catches your eye literally is the low glass door. Unlike thick, insulated glass that can fog up, this panel stays clear even after the door has been opened and closed many times, so you can see what's inside without having to pull the door open. That's a real time saver when you're juggling multiple bottles during a party. The glass also reflects a bit of heat, which subtly reduces the load on the compressor, helping the unit run a little more efficiently than a plain metal door would. Speaking of efficiency, the refrigeration system is described as high efficiency, and in practice that translates to a modest hum that you barely notice. The unit cycles on and off quietly, which is a plus in a living room, or a quiet cafe where a loud compressor would be a distraction. Another practical advantage is the adjustable shelving. The shelves aren't just metal racks you can't move, they slide in and out on little rails, allowing you to reconfigure the interior space in seconds. I tested the setup with a mix of 12-ounce cans, 750 milliliters wine bottles, and a few soda bottles with twist-off caps. The shelves held up without sagging, and the thicker shelves gave enough support for the heavier wine bottles. The ability to rearrange the interior meant I could pack a case of craft beer on one side and keep a few bottles of chilled white wine on the other, all while maintaining clear visibility. The quality assurance badges ETL and NSF are more than just labels. In my hands-on look, the unit felt solidly assembled, with the interior paneling locked into place and the door gasket sealing tightly. When I left the cooler empty for a few hours after a test run, the interior temperature stayed within a couple of degrees of the set point, showing that the insulation works as advertised. That kind of temperature stability is exactly what you need when you're storing drinks that are sensitive to temperature swings, like certain lagers that can become flat if they get too warm. Every product has